We're going to call the public hearing for our, I lost my paper, for our budget hearing to order, please. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Crawford?
Here.
Ms. Young?
Here.
Ms. Harris? Ms. Haynes?
Here.
Mrs. Foglio?
Here.
Mr. Spielman?
Here.
Mr. Roskovics?
Here.
Mr. Timonier?
Here.
Mr. Franklin?
Here.
Ms. Welch?
Here.
All right, we are having our meeting here under the guise of the Sunshine Law requirements. This is a public hearing to discuss our budget, our draft resolution of the 2022 tax budget. So we will not vote on this budget at this time, but we will later on this evening during our regular meeting. So with that in mind, Ms. Welch, would you like to take over, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. The tax budget is required by the Ohio Revised Code 70517, which gives the county auditor the amount of property tax the city is eligible for. It is used by the County Budget Commission to fix property tax rates and certify that the requested millage for levies on the property tax is needed for the upcoming fiscal year. Included in this tax budget is a history of our expenditures and revenues and is the first snapshot of what we believe 2022 will look like. This tax budget assumes a 3% wage increase, medical insurance increases for the second half of 2022. The general fund will also assume the deficits in the following funds: police and fire pension, police levy, street lighting, food service, public health and nursing, planning and community development, and the parking deck fund. Those are not out of the norm. We typically supplement those funds every year. I project that the police and fire overtime budgets will have to be increased before year end, which is also not unusual from past years. Due to the CARES Act funding we received in 2020, we were able to relieve the burden on the general fund by reallocating a substantial amount of health and fire department salaries and overtime expenditures. Doing so left the city with an ending 2020 carryover of $2.3 million going into 2021. Based on where the revenues and expenditures are at this point, I estimate that 2021 will end this year with a $1.5 million carryover going into 2022. And a substantial reduction of a $418,000 carryover going into 2023. These carryovers do not include any reallocated amounts covered under the local fiscal recovery funding to be received, since it has not been determined what those funds will be used for. The tax budget also includes a debt schedule requested by the county and appears on the last page of your document. There are only 2 items which have final payments in 2022. Those 2 items include the debt for the police department CAD, RMS, JMS systems, and the case loader that was purchased in Public Works. These debt payments will relieve the permanent improvement fund by $62,540. The next debt roll-off will be for the 2018 vehicle and equipment lease that was issued by U.S. Bank with its final payment made in 2024 of $65,750. The city is currently within its debt limitations. The formal budget process will begin next month, which will hopefully be presented in November instead of the end of December. That's my intention and hope. The next steps in the process is that council enacts legislation approving the tax budget. The clerk issues a copy of the approved tax budget to the county. The county issues certification of our tax money, and city council will enact legislation certifying the amounts and rates the county certifies. I did receive some questions regarding the tax budget that was sent out, so I wanted to address those. Mr. Stephen Collette, I'm just going to go through your questions and provide my answers. The first question was that the tax budget projects $6.4 million in income tax revenue in 2021. The last revenue report by account accessible is dated to May and shows a $3.3 million collected year to date. Is the city on track to collect the full $6.4 million that the projection is based on? At the end of June, our income tax collected was at 59% of the $6.4 million budgeted. Based on that, I estimate the city will meet the projected year-end figure. Question number 2, why is there overspending showed under the paving levy? Is there a specific expenditure area driving that? And he's referring to 2021. And when budgeting the paving levy, the carryover from the previous year is added to the estimated amount projected to be received with the first half property taxes. The negative number under revenue versus expenditure does not take into consideration the carryover from the previous year. It is simply an estimate based on the estimated total current year revenue collected versus the estimated current year expenditures at year end. When you include the carryover from 2020, which is added to total revenue for 2021, the ending fund cash carryover is not negative. The fund is estimated to carry over into 2022 $431,387. To add the paving of Lake Avenue, the 27,506 that is showing as a negative is actually being pulled from the second half property taxes, which decreases the amount to be carried over into 2022. Does that make sense? Okay. When paving is considered, I've stressed to both council and the city manager that the best way of optimizing the projected funds available is to budget only the carryover amount from the previous year and the projected first half property taxes to be received in the next year. So basically that 27,506 is over the amount that we had allocated. So it's taking from the second half that would go towards the next year, okay? Doing so, this will set up the second half property tax revenue to be a carryover for the next budget year. To include the much needed paving of Lake Avenue, I could justify the slight reduction in projected ending carryover into 2022. Number 3 is...
Mr. President, Ms. Wald, if before you move off of the paving, just to reiterate some of those things there, if you remember when we got into COVID and we didn't know how the levies were going to look and property tax were going to look, that's when Ms. Welsh and I recommended that we use just the cash in the bank. So that's why the second half that we're still waiting to receive is used in the next year. We'll get into this during the regular portion of the meeting, but the bid was received for Lake Avenue. It's less than what we had, our engineer's estimate was. So some of that cash out of our pockets will be adjusted along with all the different grants that we got to pay for that, to make that paving levy go further. So I would imagine even that $27,000 is going to be wiped out once we're done reallocating the funds for that.
The last question is, why is there overspending shown under the Parks and Rec levy? Is there a specific expenditure driving that? With the Parks and Rec levy, again, you must consider that the negative revenue versus expenditure figure does not include the previous year's carryover from 2020, which was $167,521. The Parks and Rec Board have instructed that any carryover from the previous year is to be added into what is available in the next year. My goal is to budget as closely as possible, utilizing all funds available each year to maximize the amount that can be used for park improvements. And that's all I have.
Ms. Welch, if I had a couple questions, if I could. if you would look on page 2, what is the, in 2020, there's a large, an intergovernmental, it goes from 900,000 to is that CARES money?
Okay, page 2, you
Yeah,
can be more specific.
intergovernmental funds. It goes from 900,000 to 1,400,000, and then back down to 800,000. Is that CARES funding, or that causes that bump, or?
Off the top of my head,
Okay.
I'd have to pull I need all my detail.
All right, I just
Hold on
noted.
1 second here,
No,
let me
that's,
see.
you can send
Let
it
me
to me.
look at, yeah, I'll have to get
Yeah.
back to you on it, because I don't have,
I just looking where numbers,
I need the detail. All
fluctuate
I have
so
is
much.
numbers in front of me, I apologize.
that's fine, it's just interesting as I look through. And how about other income? What's other income on that revenue? Because it's pretty consistent, except for next year, we're projecting a $200,000 loss. What's that?
I wish you would have emailed me these
I know.
questions, because I don't have the whole, but I don't
I'm
have everything
sorry.
memorized.
I apologize. You're right, I should have emailed you these questions, but
I will find out,
okay.
if we have time, before council, I can
Whenever.
run
See
up
what
and run a
happens-
quick report and
Yeah. It comes to
elaborate
me
on
in the
that.
computer, and, and the clerk wants me to look at the computer, and I don't want to look at no,
The thing is with
When I get the
other
paper, I'm good,
income is
Just
typically
kidding.
you've got all the different departments that are made up in the general fund that are pulling in, it's anything that doesn't fall into charges for services or intergovernmental, which comes from other governments like
Right.
the county and the state. When it falls into that other, it could be anything, and it's other departments, not only finance,
Right.
that they're getting checks, so it's
just
getting,
all that
so it could be a lot of different things, but I can provide the detail.
And next time I will read it. I'll force myself to read it on the computer. I think I have to next time, don't I? Because aren't we using our laptops or coming up soon? See, so the pressure's on me then.
Mr. President.
And if I could ask, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think you did answer this. The fire personnel services went down so much because we were able to transfer so much of that over to CARES.
Correct.
Now, I see the next 2 years, or this year and next year, it goes back up.
Correct,
At
because
this point-
I haven't reallocated anything, because we haven't decided how that money is
Okay,
going to
so
be
there's a chance
spent.
those could go
Correct.
down. All right, thank you, Tracy, I apologize. Ms. Fogler?
Mr. President, I'm going to try and speak into the microphone. The fines and forfeitures, is that court fines and forfeitures? It's on the top with everything else.
Yes.
Down $200,000.
Well, it could be other things as well. I mean, typically, yes, it's under, like,
Where's she at?
and you have to remember they were closed for a long portion of 2020, but in you're referring to 2021 or what's?
Nope, I'm 2020. Actual 2020.
Yes, that would have been down because there was a portion of time that they didn't have hearings.
Okay, but $200,000 is a lot of money. Okay, everybody else was around the same. Okay, it's a lot of money.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I just have I'm sorry, I didn't email this question because it
that's
popped into my head. When you were talking about the local recovery funding. Do we know how much we're getting yet, or is that still an unknown?
It will be split into two, what do they call those, trenches or?
Tranches.
Tranches. The original amount that we were supposed to be receiving in total has been basically split in half. due to them reallocating amounts to the townships. So they took portions of the monies that were supposed to go to the cities and divvied that up even further. So the amount in total will be 1.8 million. We're scheduled to get 898
So the total to us
the
would
first
be
half. Yes.
1.8 million? That's,
All over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years. So if you look at on page get to the page. Okay, page 7. About 3/4 of the way down, you'll see the local fiscal recovery. So I'm showing it as a carryover because, like I said, I don't know how it's going to be allocated. So we're 943,650.
right.
So I thought it was 8. So and then the next year we would get another 943,650. So 1.887 would be the total over 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
So our unencumbered balance could change,
Oh, yes.
like it did last year.
Right,
It'll
and that's
change.
the thing, Mr. President, with the tax budget. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a guesstimate.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean, I
flux,
use the word estimate, but it really is a guesstimate. We're looking at a one point in time
Mm-hmm.
and projecting what's going to happen through the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And as we learned with COVID, anything can happen that causes
Yeah,
numbers to fluctuate. But we're just basically providing these numbers as where we are right now, what we think we'll be, and so that the county can say, yes, you get the same amount of tax revenue or property tax that you have in the past.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Real budget comes in.
In a real,
yeah, the real budget comes later.
Yeah, we'll do
Those
that
will be
later.
much more accurate.
And our 1.8 million, what's it called, not CARES, what's it called
It's
this time?
Refunds,
the
Recovery
local,
fund
yeah.
is down from 3 million,
3.5.
thanks to our friends in Columbus.
It was a reality.
Actually-
Originally, the townships were not included in the recovery, and then, yes, they included the townships.
Yeah. Well,
Mr.
okay.
President,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just have one more question. So, at our last finance meeting, our revenue was down. Did that get resolved? Are we down?
The income I was giving comparisons of the income tax revenue.
Yes.
Based on where we budgeted for this year, we're fine. I was comparing it to
Previous.
pre-COVID.
I see.
So that's why.
Okay.
And then for next year, going over this with the city manager and asking him what his opinion was as far as how to budget income tax for next year. He has been keeping track of the unemployment numbers, and we are actually better now than we were before COVID. So, and I'm a very conservative budgeter. I tend to budget low for revenue and high for expense, or so that way we have room to breathe and hopes that things will get, I don't like to just say that's it. I don't want to you know what I'm trying to say.
I get it. I
So,
appreciate that.
So yeah, I would assume, but you know what happens when you assume. I am estimating the same level that we're at right now, but hoping and thinking that it might be better next year.
Okay.
But I'm still gonna keep it now where it's at.
No, that's good. Thank you. That's all the questions I'm going to ask you.
Just one thing to keep in mind when it comes to those unemployment figures that you're seeing, and this is something we're trying to dive into because we are seeing local income taxes in the different municipalities that are down right now. What we're trying to determine now is how many people actually left the workforce, because we do have a feeling that that number is high. And what I mean by that is we had a lot of people, and this is true throughout the country, that when COVID hit and all the issues with COVID and going to the workplace or working from home, people that were 2 or 3 years from retirement just decided, you know what, I'm going to go now. So we're trying to determine what that number is of people that just left the workforce that isn't contributing to a higher unemployment rate, because as you all know, around town, everybody is hiring.
Does anybody else have any questions, comments, anything? Okay, well, Ms. Welch, thank you for that work, and hopefully we'll get good news on other fronts, and it'll be good. But thank you for your efforts here tonight. We will adopt this budget this afternoon or later in our meeting this evening. Does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? No? Okay, we will adjourn till 6:30 when we will begin our pre-council meeting.